everyone likes tokenization in principle, but it's not really as attractive when it's being done to you. I think it's important for the tokenization mechanism to work without the opt-in of the companies that are being tokenized. I do think it's a big problem that a retail investor can't get access to Stripe shares. I've shared this viewpoint with Patrick and John, and they give me some variant of, oh, well, we're just a small Irish family company. Please don't tokenize my shares.
Ready to go? Vlad, dude, it is so lovely to have you back in the studio. Do you know what's funny? Is when you were last in that chair, you had a market cap of $35 billion. And today, I think the market cap is about $85 billion. And so it's been a pretty good 8 months.
That was that 8 months ago, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I felt pretty good back then. You know, it's always nice when the market cap goes up. Things get easier. You walk a little bit straighter. People listen to what you have to say. So we don't look at it, of course. That's what they tell you. You can't pay attention to it. But
is that the biggest load of BS in a company? Like, you know, I'm friends with Daniel at Spotify, and it's 148 billion now, and I think he feels a lot better now it's 148.
He does. Yeah. It's I think it's very difficult. I don't know if it's easier with other companies, but my product pushes stock prices into your brain. By using it, it's just hard to ignore. So I think it's especially difficult for a business like ours.
It's the most meta thing, isn't it? If you do, like, you guys looking at stock prices on Robinhood.
Yeah.
It's like doing a podcast about podcasting. I did just want to start on that because it has been insane. I tweeted last night that it's kind of the story of Wall Street bluntly, which is just this insane rise of Robinhood in the last year. If you were to put it down to one or two things, what do you think the street has appreciated that they did not before?
I think that we've been saying the same things and articulating a strategy pretty clearly over the past 2 years, really. And I think it just takes time to understand that it's working. And we've gotten fortunate in a sense that many things have worked very, very well.
When you look at cost stabilization / reduction, to what extent is that efficient management and just becoming leaner versus AI introduction and AI being the driver of that?
AI is a big part of it. And I think we have been pretty mum on how much we've been using it internally. I think we've been talking about it in very general terms. And we've started to roll out AI products. Actually, Robinhood Cortex, our AI system, rolled out to customers today, just a little bit earlier. But the impact that it's had on internal teams, ranging from software engineering to customer support, like the really big internal teams, has been huge.
In terms of software engineering, Benioff said it was 50% of Salesforce new code today. What would you say yours is?
I think that sounds right. I mean, it's difficult to say with these agentic systems, right? We've moved from, you know, GitHub Copilot, which is an autocomplete system, to Cursor, and now things like Windsurf, where, I mean, nearly all of the code is written by AI, and the adoption rate within engineering for us is, you know, close to 100%. It's close to 100%. So it's hard to even determine what the human-generated code is. If I had to guess, it's the minority.
Totally get that. Customer support-wise, you said that is the other big pillar.
I think we're best in class there, actually. Even stronger than the like dedicated customer support AI companies in terms of what we've done there.
And so you've built your own, or you use off the shelf?
We've built our own.
Wow. Why did you decide that versus use off the shelf?
Well, first of all, when we started, the off-the-shelf companies like Sierra, for instance, they were just getting off the ground. The big companies that we were using were a big Salesforce customer, were not as developed yet. And so we built a lot of things. And then for a company like Robinhood, a lot of the complex work is in system integration. So it's getting all of the data to answer customers' queries. And also we're starting to do actions. Like, based on your query, we need to do some kind of action, and that requires a deep level of integration with our back-end systems that I think most vendors haven't really figured out how to do yet.
Why have you been quiet around it when the street clearly appreciates AI efficiency stories within public companies?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been thinking about how to tell the story better. And one of the things we've been thinking about is, should we just have an event, like a product event like we just had in the south of France? But
that sucks for a location, dude. Where are we going to choose it? Let's do the south of France.
Yeah, well, it's probably not going to be in the south of France again because we just did that. But there's lots of great places to have events. Yeah, and I think there's now enough meat and enough things that we can talk about that it would actually be a really cool event. So,
would you ever make your customer support tool a SaaS product that you would open source to everyone? I mean, Revolut's now done this with their HR tool.
Yeah, we've had discussions about that internally. I think that the challenge is the value is in the deep integration with our proprietary data. And I don't know if we want to get into the business of like going into companies and doing deep integrations with their proprietary data. But generally, I ask the question for everything. If we build a great tool internally, can we actually make it available as a service to others? Because that's the way to ensure that it stays great. It's like there's external pressure from customers, not just internal teams. So I'm a huge fan of that type of platformization.
Where do you think AI is not where you would most like it to be?
I mean, I think that there's still a problem with hallucinations, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done to kind of like scaffold against that. And that's actually one of the things that was the origin for the company that I'm chairman of, Harmonic. It's, can we design a system that prevents hallucinations by design and ensures that every step of the reasoning is logical and follows from the previous one. So I think that entails a different approach to generating AI output, one where every piece of output is checked before it comes out, and there's a very clear measure of correctness. So I think that's going to be an interesting system that will change everything.
We're going to get to Harmonic because it's super exciting, and congrats on the Series B. Super exciting there.
Thank you.
The product expansion's been insane. I spoke to Neil Mehta specifically before, who said about the speed of product build. When we look at it, though, you started with like young first-time traders, added options and crypto, attracted maybe higher risk profiles, then speculative traders, high volume spec traders. Robinhood Gold and cash management led to more. I guess my question is, how do you think about the different customer profile types you serve today? And how's that changed over time in your thinking, given the massive product expansion recently?
I think that there's been one big change, which is recently we started thinking about not just the millennial and Gen Z customer, but also the active trader, like the digitally native active trader. And that's a very different type of profile. I mean, these are folks that you can almost think of them, they have some similarity with gamers. They've got like the screens, the headphones, the fancy keyboards, and they're just locked in. They're locked into their system, and they have very specific needs. They need to be at the frontier of technology and innovation. They care about speed. They care about latency. And we really had to get into that customer's head to design products like our futures ladder, like Robinhood Legend.
Why did you decide that was a market that you wanted to go after?
We were kind of aware of this being a market that was important to us back in even 2019, but we weren't really doing much about it. So we had our strategy that was, we're going to make an extremely simple to use mobile app with zero commissions. And we were targeting first-timers because the thesis was, well, first-timers would benefit from this. They like ease of use, and commissions are really a big barrier if you're starting with $100.
Yep.
Like that wouldn't have been possible before. And what happened was when we went live, we started getting active traders that were high volume incidentally, without actually like going after that customer base. And that was because the value prop of zero commissions was so strong that if you were someone that was, paying $1,000 a month in commissions, you would do all of the fancy research elsewhere and just do your trading on Robinhood. The value prop was strong, even though it wasn't explicitly designed for that. And so we built an active trader business incidentally without even trying. And we were aware of this. We were like, well, there's a lot of our revenue, which is much higher than we anticipated when we modeled this first-time investor business, is driven by, a well-defined kind of circumscribed chunk of our customers. And we ignored that for a while because what we were doing was working very, very well. But in 2022, it became apparent that we weren't treating this customer base well, and they were even more important because they're actually resilient. Since they're active, they have like bearish strategies. When the market's moving down, they remain active. When the market's moving sideways, they can do multi-leg options. And from that point on, we realized we weren't serving them well. They were churning to other platforms. They were outgrowing us. And so we put some of our most hardcore people on the task of making Robinhood the best platform for active traders and not just serving them incidentally. And I think that was actually the number one reason behind our business turnaround. It's realizing that was actually the core of our business. And if we had to, and we needed to invest in it in order to have resources to do other things well.
Do you think the memification of stocks is a good thing or not?
What do you mean by the memification of stocks?
When you have things that bluntly take public attention and really capture the zeitgeist, like I think you bluntly put the CoreWeaves and the Circles in them actually at this point, but the GameStops of the world, is that a good thing because it actually brings more people into markets, they can learn, they're entering the market for the first time? Or is it fundamentally bad because bluntly it's inflated, it's not artificially inflated because it is real, but it's not based on fundamentals?
I think that people are buying these stocks generally for a very different reason than, a meme coin, for example, or even GameStop back in 2021. I think they legitimately believe that these are going to be like gigantic industries. CoreWeave, for instance, is one of the few opportunities that as a public markets investor, you can actually buy into AI, the growth of the AI industry. I mean, if you think about it, what are your options if you want to invest in AI as retail? You've got NVIDIA.
AMD.
Yeah. I mean, AMD, but really NVIDIA is $4 trillion, right? You've got Tesla, where AI is maybe, 10, 20% of the story there. So you don't have too many opportunities at sub-trillion valuations. So when CoreWeave comes along, that's like AI exposure at a lower level, and people are interested in that. And then Circle, you have the stablecoin industry, right? And people are betting that that's going to be a big thing, and that's sort of like clean exposure to stablecoins.
In terms of like availability of exposure, you guys did the fascinating kind of new product, so to speak, in terms of the tokenization of kind of private companies. Talk to me about the decision around that new product. Take me to that room. What was the discussion like, and how did you come to the decision that this was a product you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, it was very clear from the beginning. I actually wrote an article in the Washington Post in January that argued for tokenization. And
you said the tokenization will be the biggest innovation in finance in the last decade.
Yeah, I said that yesterday. It wasn't quite as clear, I guess, back in January for my Washington Post op-ed. But I think there's two benefits of tokenization that are very, very extreme. One is, like stablecoins, it's going to be the easiest way to get exposure to U.S. assets if you're outside of the U.S. So stablecoins, very popular outside the U.S. for people that want to get their hands on dollars. In the same way, I think stock tokens will become the best way to get exposure to U.S. stocks and other assets. So that's like the ex-U.S. use case. The use case that's going to be very powerful even within the U.S., where we actually have decent access through Robinhood and other things to U.S. stocks, is illiquid assets that actually have not been successfully made tradable or accessible to retail, like private companies, but also real estate and even things like art. So I think in the U.S., that actually is very, very meaningful. And we wanted to demonstrate that we have the technology built to do this outside the US. I mean, it will work, it works, and all that's left is just details and in the US regulatory clarity. So we wanted to start with the two companies that I think are significant, hard to get, challenging, but also in demand, and that's SpaceX and OpenAI, which incidentally were the two that I used as examples when I wrote my opinion piece on this.
I have more LPs than ever call me about access to both of them. So I completely agree with you in terms of those being the demand side. The question I have for you is, just so I actually understand then, if it's a token, it's not equity, or it is a reflection of equity. What am I actually buying, just so I get it?
Yeah, I'd say the analogy is to a stable coin. Basically, if you think about it, we have some traditional assets in a box. We tokenize that one for one, and the tokens actually get put on blockchains where they're tradable. So for stable coins, Circle, for example, has some US Treasury bills and notes in a box that back the tokens that are freely tradable. So in this way, we have access to private company shares or other types of exposure, because OpenAI doesn't have shares. They're a nonprofit. So they have profit participation units and convertible interest securities that give shares upon a successful conversion to a for-profit. So OpenAI is particularly complicated, but you can think of it as exposure in an SPV, like a traditional instrument, that then gets held by Robinhood and tokenized and given to retail.
They were a little bit upset by this.
Yes.
Were you surprised that they were upset by it? Do you think that was unfair?
I thought part of it was unfair. They issued a statement that said, please be careful, which I thought was a little bit gratuitous. But I think it could have been worse. I mean, I understand from OpenAI's perspective that they've got a lot of stuff going on. They're trying to convert to a for-profit. The last thing they want to deal with is, some guy tokenizing their stocks. They don't even understand exactly how that works, but it's sort of like a confusing distraction at best. But I would say it's in line with their mission. Their stated mission is to build artificial general intelligence and make sure it benefits all of humanity. So one way to make sure it benefits all of humanity and not just, executives and wealthy investors is to make humanity have ownership of it, which up until now hasn't been possible. Some of the most important companies of our time have not been accessible to retail. And I think that's a huge problem. So,
is there anything that you would have done differently about the launch or the messaging?
I think that there's always things to learn. For example, I think this statement that it was somehow unsafe was not very positive for us. I mean, if you look at OpenAI newsroom Twitter, this was actually the most popular tweet that they tweeted ever. It has the most likes and reposts, which surprised me. So I didn't quite think that it would resonate so much. So I don't know. It's so new. I don't know if I would have done much differently. I think the problem is everyone likes tokenization in principle, right? But it's not really as attractive when it's being done to you. It's sort of like a digital NIMBYism, right? Everyone's like, oh, great, tokenization, kidding, make it happen over there. And the problem that's happened in private markets in general is the best companies have lots of options. They can raise money from anywhere. So they sort of don't consider retail. They don't consider retail. And that leads to this adverse selection problem where basically the only companies tapping retail are the ones that don't have any other options. And that's why all of the initiatives to give access to retail to these opportunities have failed thus far. And so I think it's important for the tokenization mechanism to work without the opt-in of the companies that are being tokenized. And I think that's actually the innovation that we've been able to drive. We can we figured out how to make this work without actually having the companies opt in.
Are you fearful that regulation will stop that? Because if it works, this could be the biggest line of revenue in your business, no?
I think it could be big. I would say that in the EU, it's pretty clear. I mean, EU has clear crypto asset regulation in the form of MiCA. Yeah. In the US, more work needs to be done for sure. Like, there's two elements to it: accredited investor laws and also crypto laws, which both need to happen in order to truly unlock this. And my belief is part of the reason why we're demonstrating this in the EU, aside from just giving our EU customers access to all these amazing products, is that it could show the rest of the world that there's real value here. And you heard the SEC chair, Paul Atkins, say, tokenization is an innovation, and the SEC has to stop putting up roadblocks and start embracing these innovative technologies. So I think we've got support from both sides, in effect, to improve this.
How do you think about inventory? And what I mean by that is, you mentioned the two there that are kind of the gold standard. Could you go as low as a Series B? When you look at Harmonic, I know you announced around today. Iliad did it, Kleiner Perkins did it. You're the chairman. There's a lot of people who would love to buy into that Harmonic token right now if you put it on Robinhood. Does it go that low? How do you think about where the line ends in terms of accessibility?
It's a great question. My intent would be to go as low as possible. Yeah. I think that, and it's funny because we're kind of straddling the crypto and the traditional finance side. And if you talk to crypto people will tell you, well, the future is on-chain issuance. What you're doing right now is like not ideal compared to on-chain issuance, where the equity goes on-chain from the very beginning. And what I tell them is nobody gives a shit about on-chain issuance. Like, the only place where people are even thinking about on-chain issuance is like in your head. What people want is capital as a service. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, you want capital in your bank account quickly and with as little friction as possible. And I think that's where this eventually ends. You should be able to go on Robinhood or maybe other services as well, maybe upload some information, and actually you'll be competing in a marketplace. So there will be market pressure to make information that's clear and as compelling as possible. You push a button and then money enters your bank account and you can get back to running your business. I think that's where that's the logical conclusion. It's capital at all stages, but perhaps the most interesting is the earliest stages. And I think if we succeed in doing this, there will be more startups. Like, it'll become easier to create a startup.
I mean, it's incredible, and it kind of plays homage to what crowdfunding always promised to be.
Yeah.
But never actually was. So I totally get that. What does that look like then in terms of the rollout for the next 6 to 12 months of tokenization, and what assets you tokenize when and how you do it?
Well, what's live right now in Europe, fully live, is public stocks. Yep. And we've got about 200 plus of all the big ones. So we're going to continue to roll that out and get to thousands. We will make the private stocks tradable as well. So we'll get those on-chain.
Sorry, just pause there. Why does inventory matter in the thousands? When you actually look at like trading volumes and you see the concentration of names that trading volumes go towards, do you need much more than 200?
I think that you never know what's going to become popular. There's always a long tail, and something happens in a random company, right? And it's interesting, and we don't really want to be in a business of like picking winners and losers and what stocks you want to buy. We'd like to keep it simple and just say, generally speaking, if it's listed and we'd like to actually offer it to all listed ones. There have been issues where, unfortunately, sub-dollar stocks are left listed for too long, and some of these have turned into scams. And I think that's a problem that we'd like the listing exchanges to deal with. So we've had to deviate from that to some degree. But ideally, if it's listed, and we just turn it on, and we're good to go.
So we move from 200 to 1,000 there. Great.
Yeah.
What else?
So there's a couple of things. So on the public stock token side, this product will progress in a couple of stages. We're in stage 1, where every time we mint or burn a new token, we actually go to the market, to the NASDAQ or NYSE, to an actual exchange for every trade. So every time you buy, one new one is minted. And the second phase is we put these tokens on Bitstamp, our exchange. And so then you can trade the tokens directly against other cryptos and also dollars. And that needs stage 1 because we need to have a supply of a significant number of these tokens minted before we can enable the liquidity. So phase 2 unlocks 24/7 trading. And then phase 3, you can actually interface with the blockchain directly, and you can self-custody, you can do all of the collateralized lending and borrowing, all the DeFi, the self-custody, and that's when things start to really get interesting. I think the crypto wallet will be a first-class experience for all of these tokenized assets.
Is that a $100 million revenue line for you? Because you have 9 products that are $100 million revenue lines now.
The crypto wallet, up until recently, has not even been monetized. I think we're just starting to monetize it.
When you look at the 9, which do you think is most underappreciated?
Yeah, I guess I don't really even think about it that way. I mean, we break it down as 9 revenue streams, but I just think of it as, we get customers. Customers become Robinhood Gold subscribers. And once you're a Robinhood Gold subscriber, we get you to use all of our products and increase your average revenue per user on the platform. So, we do break it up into business lines. We consider that, and it's sort of a map of the world, right? And what I really care about is the reality of how many customers do we get? How much money are they putting in the platform? Are we serving all of their financial needs? And I think you can slice and dice it by lots of different ways. But if they're putting all of their money into Robinhood, I think we're happy.
In 5 years' time, which do you think will be the biggest revenue generator?
I think that crypto is interesting because right now crypto is sort of this separate segment of the business. We kind of look at it and the outside world perceives it as a different asset, right? It's like, how big is your crypto business going to be relative to, say, your options business or equities business? It's very much like this is a separate asset that you're trading. But what we're starting to see already is crypto is going to be this layer that is behind everything, right? Everything is going to be powered by crypto to some degree. So
what do you mean by that? Just so I understand.
Well, I'll just give you an example. Right now we have a Robinhood Gold has a interest piece where you can earn interest on your cash. Well, if we as we get stablecoin out, crypto will have that as well. You'll be able to earn interest on your stable coins, and that'll be a significant business. And you might consider that part of crypto, but that's that's something that's akin to a savings account. Prediction markets over time, you see overseas things like Polymarket. That's a prediction markets business, but it's also powered by crypto.
The joys of me is I have no ego. And so I'm not afraid to ask very stupid questions. I hang out with Jack Zhang from Airwallex, who I don't know if you know, but he's fucking brilliant. Like one of the most underappreciated founders. He's very negative on the future of stablecoins. How do you see the next 3 years of stablecoins? And would you share his negativity?
I don't know if I would go that far. There's definitely use cases. I mean, I'll just give you an example. Robinhood uses stablecoins, like for our corporate purposes. So we have this use case where we trade a lot of crypto, and that requires settling with counterparties. I mean, if our customers buy a bunch of Bitcoin, we have counterparties that we have to send dollars to, and they send us the Bitcoin back. And during market hours, Monday through Friday, everything works fine because we can settle intraday. We can wire them dollars, they send us the crypto to our wallets, and everything's fine. But what happens on a weekend, right? What happens on a weekend where the banking rails are closed and something's happening in the crypto markets and we've got retail customers that want to buy billions of dollars of crypto, you have a difficult situation potentially. So because we can't move the money. So what happens is either you have to take counterparty risk, meaning you have to trust that, one side will deliver the dollars eventually when they can and send them the crypto ahead of time, which is a tough one because counterparty risk multiplies if you have lots of counterparties. Or you have to have lines of credit, right? Lines of credit with your counterparties that are expensive. Or you have to pre-fund in the bank accounts that you have, which can be different. All the counterparties tend to have different bank accounts unless you force them to centralize. And so you have to pre-fund and plan for what could be an insane amount of volume. And that's very capital inefficient. But stable coins come in.
I have goosebumps listening to these different options. That's shit.
Yeah, it's not good options. And, we had to deal with this in 2021. And our solution was to raise lots of capital and pre-fund and hope that it was enough, right? But now with stablecoins, we can just send you the dollars over the weekend. They instantly get to our counterparties. They can send the crypto back. Problem solved. So that's a real use case, and that's led to us adopting it. So the 24/7 movement of dollars in real time is a real thing. And I don't think you can argue that outside of the US, particularly in developing countries, stablecoins have become the easiest way to get access to dollars for retail. And I think that's a real thing. They basically obsoleted American Express traveler's checks, which, foreigners and countries with depreciating currencies would stockpile these things to keep their money.
Are you ready for a really unfair one?
Let's see it.
Of the 9 products that do 100 million in revenue, if I forced you to shut one down today because of focus, which would you shut down?
Oh, good question. Well, I'll tell you one that I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if it disappears over time. Instant withdrawals revenue. Yeah. So we make money from customers withdrawing money from Robinhood into their bank account instantly. It's a good business for us.
How big a business is that?
I want to say this is 9 figures. Yeah, I mean, we can check that, but I think that's one of them. Or either by itself or in combination with some related thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's a big business. And, we've got our GM there is very proud of this business, and he hates when I say this, but I tell him, hey, if your business goes to zero, I would not be upset because that would mean nobody's withdrawing money from Robinhood. If it's just everyone just keeps their money in Robinhood all the time, we feel pretty good. So one of the goals we have is remove all reasons why someone would want to move their money out to an external bank account.
Great answer. That's a phenomenal one. It's like being in a job interview and being asked for your biggest weakness and you're like, I just worked too hard. Okay, me and you've got a whiteboard. We're planning a new product.
Chalkboard, please.
Oh God, I hate chalkboards. Remind me of school. What product have you not done that you would most like to do?
In financial services. I mean, private markets is one that I've been very excited about. I think we have a plan to do it. And the time between having an idea and executing on it with a new product has decreased quite a bit. I mean, if you told me 6 months ago that I'd be sitting here embroiled in some controversy because I've tokenized private markets and we've been able to deliver that to customers, I would have been surprised. But the team has been executing unbelievably well. I think what we talked about earlier, which is still in the future of having this capital as a service offering. You just press a button and money is deposited in your account, whether it be a business account or a personal account. I think that would be quite meaningful.
The one that no one can crack and everyone wants to, people have tried, Nick at Revolut wants it, is the ultra high net worths and the super high net worths who are with Goldman or with Pictet or with JP. Do you want that market?
Yeah, and I think that Yeah, we're interested in that market.
How do you win it where others haven't?
Well, I don't know if a lot of people have really tried very hard, to be fair. I mean, I think that the people making $100,000 is a very nice market too. And I think it can be very, very tempting to go up and say, okay, why don't we serve the people making $1 million, $5 million? Ultra high net worth, like if you can literally be my family office, I think that is an attractive proposition. And actually that's my goal. I'd like to have all of my personal stuff on Robinhood. And I don't think we're very far from being able to service my needs adequately, maybe a couple of years.
What do we not have today that we do need to service your needs? Yeah,
so private banking, which by the way, we're rolling out. It's happening very, very quickly. And to my knowledge, this is the first digital private banking product that's really designed for, private banking's been a very brick and mortar experience. All of the features require a branch. Nobody's been able to crack how to deliver that service without a branch. And I'll give you an example, cash delivery. I don't know if you heard about this cash delivery innovation, which I'm very excited about.
Please tell me.
Yeah, so one thing that high net worth individuals have access to from private banking is a cash truck. So I was floored by this when I got to the level where this could happen. But First Republic Bank, which is now sadly defunct, had the service where cash would be delivered to your house. And you don't have to go to an ATM. They offered it for larger amounts of cash, and it would come in an armored vehicle.
I don't know anyone that has ordered a cash delivery in the thousands from a cash truck. I'm with Goldman. I don't think they fucking do cash trucks. Is that actually a thing?
It was a thing. It was why I loved why we love First Republic Bank. Because, going to the bank and going to an ATM is annoying. Much more convenient to have the cash brought to you.
Do you still use cash?
Yeah.
Wow. For what?
Tipping.
Oh, you Americans.
You don't tip?
No, this is an American thing. Huh?
Yeah.
Why do you need 50 grand in cash?
You got to tip. I got a lot of people that give me services. You got to tip them all.
That is amazing. So a cash
and also I have people that work for me that use services too, and they have to tip people. So there's a whole operation.
So you're going to do cash trucks?
So what we asked ourselves.
Amazing branding. Can you imagine dollar hood cash trucks?
Well,
driving around cities.
Yeah, I don't think we want to operate the trucks, but we asked ourselves, what would this look like if this was a mass market product? Okay, not everyone needs an armored truck going to their house, and that's quite expensive. But everyone gets a DoorDash or a Deliveroo like you have here, right? So can we solve the needing to go to an ATM problem for you and just get the cash delivered to you? Either if you're at your house or if you're out somewhere and you need cash. And this has happened to me a lot of places. My wife gets her hair cut, she wants to pay in cash, and then I have to go look for an ATM. It's annoying. So yeah, we're going to solve that problem by combining the logistics of on-demand delivery with all the work that we're doing in finance, and you'll get cash delivered to your house. Yeah, and actually, first of all, digital banking without a branch, nothing ruins. So nobody's been able to figure out how to handle the ATM problem, right? And if nothing ruins the private banking vibe more than having to go to a 7-Eleven or a CVS to have to withdraw cash. It's not a premium experience. You also don't want to send customers to some other bank. I'm sure Citi is great, but I don't want my customers going to Citi if they're a private banking customer. So how do you do it branchless? People still have these needs where you have to go to a branch. Well, you should bring the branch to the person. And that's, I think that's a thread that we're going to pull on. And that's what high net worth individuals have. They have people coming to their houses for all of their needs. If you need a notary, they show up to your house. If you need to buy a watch, they'll show up at your house. So that's the goal. I think that's how we have to deliver it to our customers.
The thing I think that's so interesting with your business is the different insertion points that different players have taken. And so if you look at yours, when you think about like commission-free trading being your insertion point into the first customer base, when you look at Revolut, it's FX is the core. When you look at Monzo, it was actually just like the current account was a hard one to get first, but the current account was the core. And then each expand from there. If I'm totally honest, and I hope I can say this knowing you a little bit over the years now, I thought yours was kind of the lightest in terms of like commission-free trading. It feels like looser than... But I was clearly wrong when I look at what you've done. Why has actually commission-free trading been the best insertion point? Or was it not? It was just execution alone that was?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think that you could build a big business with all of these insertion points, right? And these guys have. I mean, Monzo and Revolut have done very, very well, big, impressive businesses. I do think eventually...
Do you whine more about Revolut or Chime?
I think I'm more impressed by Revolut. Revolut's got product velocity, international scale, strong founder, impressive guy. I don't think we like butt into each other very much, but I think it's going to be more. Chime we don't butt into very much either because they're targeting sort of paycheck to paycheck customers. Their customers aren't really investing. So... But we'd like to get into there too. We'd like to continue to go down market and eventually serve someone that doesn't have money to invest. I do think that the end state of Robinhood involves the current account as well. Like we have to get people's paycheck. It's just easier that way if you can have everything go through Robinhood.
What is the timeline to that, do you think?
Well, banking's rolling out very, very soon. I mean, imminently, depending on when this is coming out to the first customers.
How do you think about the regulatory tactics that have been done by Monzo, Revolut, Starling, where they've really gone for the banking license? When you sit back and analyze that, how do you reflect on, analyze that?
I think it's different depending on the jurisdiction. In the US, banking license has traditionally been very onerous. I mean, you have folks in your board meetings, approving new products. So that's tough.
You do in the UK, Monzo.
Yeah. And, Revolut, to my knowledge, doesn't have a banking license here, and it's been fine for them.
It's bluntly been the advantage, which is it's enabled a product velocity that Monzo weren't able to have because they had regulatory provisions, which meant they couldn't move that fast.
Yeah. But, there's certain advantages in the other direction, which is
totally
if you want to be someone's bank, you can say that we're a bank.
100%.
And some people really care about that.
Totally get that. Behind all of this is actually the machine that makes it. Neil at Meta's, I think, a very dear friend of yours, and he responded when I asked him, I love Vlad, all in caps. Naturally, made me very happy. He asked very specifically, how did Vlad go from a culture and company that shipped almost nothing, sorry, it was his words, to now shipping at the most extraordinary pace, as specific as possible?
We were kind of gummed up in 2020 and 2021, just trying to scale. We went from end of 2019, we had 800 employees, and we had maybe 200 or so million in annual revenue. Still a big business, but by the end of 2020, we had close to $1 billion in annual revenue. So we quadrupled the business roughly. And that was tough because it happened while we were remote. We were dealing with pandemic. We hired all these people. And I think in hindsight, we ingested too many people. It became hard to operate. And, these were new people that didn't know how to work with us. We were all remote. And we had to also scale customer support. This was before AI. So if we quadrupled our customer base, we had to more than quadruple our customer support team because, frankly, we weren't even doing a great job with the folks we had back in the day. So it was making sure we have really, really good talent. That involves some cultural changes to reorient the company post-COVID, bringing people back into the office so we could onboard better.
How important is being in person? I make sure everyone's in person for all of our companies.
I'm a big in-person bull in general. Yeah. I think we've operated much better since and it was actually very painful for us because we went remote first. So I had to like pull that back entirely, which pissed a lot of people off. But
is it as bad as you think? A lot of people are like, well, I can't pull it back. I think very few doors are actually one way.
Totally. Yeah, no, there's no one-way doors that I've encountered. It can be done, and we've done it, which I think is a great example.
Okay, so we're back in office. We have new personnel. Anything that you've done to really fucking supercharge product delivery, iteration, shipping?
I think making sure that everyone feels accountable to their business results is important. I think there's probably like 12 little things that you just go and do. And if you really want to ship fast and deliver fast, you have to orient your culture towards optimizing for that. And I think it's difficult in financial services, especially because you also have to protect people's money and be safe. And I think it's an important thing to not treat these two things as things that sort of counterbalance each other. Oh, well, we can't ship fast because that compromises safety. You have to say, no, I want you to do it at high quality, which means delivering it safely, but also, once you know what to do, executing relentlessly.
It's relatively like Steve Jobs. No, I want it beautiful and today.
And fast.
I totally understand that. What's your framework for deciding what new products to do versus not do?
I think I follow my intuition quite a bit. Yeah.
Do you agree with dictatorial style of leadership?
The which kind?
Kind of dictatorial. Top down.
I think that certain things have to be top down for sure, which is the vision has to be top down because there's just, and how
many direct reports do you have?
I think it's about 15 to 20. I think when it's necessary because it's very, very clear when something needs to be top down because you have people that aren't agreeing with things. They're like disagreeing with each other. And I think if that goes on for too long and it's not intentional, that's probably a sign of some form of dysfunction. And that's when you need to be top down. But I don't think you have to be top down to an extreme degree. I think that, and that's the difficult part. What I try to do is be clear about where we're going and what the end state is, and give people who are in the details and can focus on their thing a lot of autonomy to how you achieve the actual thing, right? And then they become owners of it. They become accountable to it. So I wouldn't be top down and dictate exactly how everything is done. For some things, I'll have opinions, like the products that I'm very close to, how the events are done, how it's announced. But I want to make it clear that my GMs, the product leaders, the folks that are close to the ground can overrule me. And I just encourage them to actually yell at me and tell me I'm being an idiot when they think so.
What element of your leadership do you know is bad but continue to do regardless?
I think I've been accused of having low emotional intelligence.
Do you work on that, or do you just accept that, hey, that's part of me?
I try to work on it a little bit. I mean, it's always, maybe I'm inept, but I don't know. I consider myself somewhat emotionally intelligent. So,
do you tie your happipiness to the performance of the company?
I try not to, but it's sometimes hard to avoid. I mean, just think about it. I'm pretty happy now. In 2022, I was kind of in the dumps, and it took an inordinate amount of effort to climb out of that.
I can't remember who it was, but someone asked, did you ever feel in the dumps that it actually wouldn't work?
That it actually wouldn't work, I guess, is a relative question. I never really felt like the company was in danger of going bankrupt or anything. I mean, the good thing about 2022 is we'd raised $6 billion in cash in 2021, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. But we had
before you went public.
This was after we went. 2022 was after we went public. We raised a bunch of cash in the IPO. I think 1.5 to 2 billion. But also during GameStop, we raised like 4 billion. So we had a lot of cash. But it was painful, and I did ask myself whether I was like the person to do this, right? Because I went from, leading a growing startup that went public, and that was a nice capstone. Many people consider going public to be sort of like a end goal in and of itself. And then I was like administering a reduction in force and leading a turnaround.
Do you like being public? I've never met a public CEO who actually likes it.
I like being public, actually.
You do?
I do.
Why?
I think it's great because I think we've flipped, in my head at least, from thinking about all the public company stuff like earnings and all of that, from being a nuisance to being just a fun opportunity to connect with our community of shareholders and retail investors. So if you look at our recent earnings calls, I don't know if you've seen them, we have quite a lot of fun. I've got them. The vision is it's like a post-game press conference. So I've got the Robinhood logos behind me, the big mics.
This.
Yeah, and it's basically like post-game press conferences are a lot of fun. They're fun if the team wins or if the team loses. Because, if the team wins, you've got them wearing the nice like designer clothes. They're feeling confident. They're talking good. If you're rooting for the team, you want to see them win. If they lose, sometimes you get dirt about like what players not pulling their weight, or, they come in with like the towel over the shoulder and they're like, getting railed by the press. Like, you played bad. Why did you not get any assists? Why did you only score 7 points? So, getting a star player getting railed on by the media after a terrible game is always entertaining. So, if that can be this is like the business equivalent of that, really.
Do you think Stripe should go public?
I think that two things. I think Stripe can do whatever it wants. And obviously, they can raise infinite amounts of capital from the private markets to run their business. I do think it's a big problem that a retail investor can't get access to Stripe shares, which has been a category-defining company. And I've shared this viewpoint. I've shared this viewpoint with Patrick and John, and they give me some variant of, we're just a small Irish family company. Please don't tokenize my shares. So we'll see.
I absolutely love that. Dude, I'd love to do a quick fire round. I could spend all day talking to you. What have you changed your mind on most in the last 12 months?
Yeah, in the past 12 months, the area that I think has led to a lot of thinking, I don't know if we've changed our mind on it too much, we're kind of barreling ahead, is prediction markets. And prediction markets is kind of an interesting category of thing, right? Some people consider it gambling. So you have the whole like, is it gambling or is it investing controversy that we're continuing to contend with. It's sort of the bane of our existence to some degree. I mean, I believe it's investing. Many people believe that it's gambling. So there's that. And it's also like is it going to be state regulated? Is it going to be CFTC federally regulated like a future? So I think we have lots of debates about what that looks like in our product, from separate app, separate tab, separate brand, to the other spectrum, just fully integrated, which is basically the direction we've gone. So that's a heady one. That one's at the frontier. Private markets, I'm guessing, is going to be tough to navigate. Like, there's a lot of people that don't like what we're doing there. But I'm quite motivated to actually make that work. So I think we'll ultimately prevail there.
Which competitor do you most respect, and why them?
I think Revolut's a good one. Revolut, you can tell the culture is in a good place. Like, that's the no bullshit company that cares a lot about winning. I think it's pretty clear. So respect them tremendously. I respect Coinbase. I think they're a technology company in our space. We come across them quite a bit. We collaborate in some ways, but no bullshit, founder-led. I think they've done very well. And I think there's a lot of smaller players that also are hungry and doing well.
Any that are non-obvious but super interesting?
I think Altruist is somewhat interesting as a competitor. Have you heard of Altruist?
No.
Yeah, so it's funny. It's great. We have all these competitors in all these different fields.
Well, you do everything, dude. There's quite a lot to compete with.
Yeah. So Altruist is kind of our competitor in the RIA custody business. So this is sort of like the products we offer to advisors to serve their end clients. And their pitch was, we're Robinhood for advisors. And they do some things very, very well. And we believe we can be Robinhood for advisors. But yeah, they have a CEO who's a good-looking guy. He's kind of the hanging around all these advisory conferences. And we entered that space via acquisition a couple months ago. So that should be interesting.
We put this in yesterday, right? And I stalked the shit out of you. And you'll be impressed, I think, by the level of stalking the shit out of you I did.
Let's see.
I hear that you now have a personal trainer, and you didn't for many years. You solo trained for many years.
Well, you didn't see my Men's Health article, did you?
No.
So I was in Men's Health about a year and a half ago. I didn't get the cover, unfortunately.
Fuckers.
Which I thought was very disappointing. I think I deserved
Why
the
didn't
Men's
you buy
Health cover. I didn't have the money back then. I don't know how much they're worth.
I can order you a cash truck if you'd like one.
But anyway, there's a Men's Health feature on me working out with my trainer. And I think for that one, I deadlifted close to 400 pounds, but they showed the picture of me deadlifting 135 for some reason that
We're going to put this
fathom.
up right here. It's going to be beautifully visualized for this video. Wow. Well done.
Thank you.
So how did training change?
So I started working with a trainer. I had a bad back injury. Right around the time I had my first child, I was lifting incredibly heavy weight, and I popped a disc in my back. So I had surgery scheduled because I literally couldn't get up from a seated position without excruciating pain going up my leg. So I had the surgery scheduled. At the last minute, I kind of bailed from it. I'm like, it's feeling a little bit better. It took 2 years to become pain-free from the time I popped the disc. So then I kind of rebuilt from first principles. So during COVID, I started working with a trainer. And for the first year when we were all remote, we were doing body weight and dumbbell stuff only. And then gradually over time, I got into lifting heavy, doing barbell work again, but it was just going from working out by myself, as you said, to rebuilding my form and doing from the ground up, it's like a basketball player rebuilding their free throw. I had to just do everything properly, starting with very little weight.
Did you? I was sold when I heard that you're in Men's Health. That's the coolest thing that you've said for the last hour. I'm still super impressed. What purchase under $500 has had the biggest impact on your life?
Toto Washlet.
What is that?
It's a bidet. So if you're taking a poop, you can just push a button and it cleans you without needing toilet paper. Very environmentally friendly.
No.
You've never heard of this Japanese toilet?
No.
Yeah.
You don't use loo roll?
I do, but for drying only.
Ah.
Yeah.
This must be so disappointing when you go to a place without it and you're like, shit, I've got to go back to the old way.
It is disappointing, yeah.
I'm sorry. Let me just make sure next time you're here, we'll get one of these for you.
You should get one. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I just try to avoid using the bathroom.
You've opened my world to cash trucks and not. That's amazing.
Japanese toilets.
Japanese toilets, dude.
Yeah. They even have a portable, actually. If you don't want to spend the $500 for, $30, you can get this little thing that's battery operated and you can take with you. If you want to go to 10,000, you get the full toilet.
Oh, well, I'm sold.
Yeah, that has some nice features.
That is. I'll ask for it for Christmas. What's the biggest advice on marriage?
Well, I've only done it once, so I don't have voluminous advice.
You don't, but you've been through a shit ton. I mean, Christ, Vlad.
Yeah.
And you're still together.
My wife and I would disagree with this. I think she's more of the movie Severance?
Yeah.
I think she would prefer a more Severance-like existence, where it's sort of I come home, I don't really think about work, and, I take off my work clothes and I'm in like home mode and there's sort of more strict separation. I prefer closer to like full integration. Like my work people coming into my house and hanging out with my kids and me doing a meeting while I'm on vacation and, my kids coming to work. So it can't just be one way. It has to be both ways. So, I think that's one thing we disagree on. But I think there's something also about just like full unconditional commitment where you just know that if you have an issue or a concern, you can work it out.
Penultimate one. Which one was the hardest oh shit that turned into a good thing? So for example, when I was 17, I was kicked out of school for being very bulimic.
Yeah.
And because of that, I went to this really loose school where they gave you loads of free time and I started a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say being public through 2022, seeing our stock go from, I don't know what it was in 2021, irrationally high perhaps, but it was still high after we went public, down to being worth below cash was a very...
I mean, that's offensive, isn't it?
It was below cash. So people were betting that we would just like waste our cash and never be profitable. It was offensive in hindsight, but it was tough. And I think that in hindsight led to us making a bunch of decisions and investments and like responding to it in a very positive way that now we're reaping the benefits of.
Okay, final one for you. Where is Robinhood? And you can choose the time frame in 5 or 10 years' time. But where is Robinhood in 5 or 10 years' time?
Well, the vision behind Robinhood is to make it possible for everyone, whether they be an individual or a business, to buy, sell, or hold any financial asset or conduct any financial transaction. So that involves us going from U.S. primary to fully global, and from retail only to serving not just retail, but business and institutions.
Dude, I so appreciate you. I so appreciate all you've done for me. You've always been so good to me. Thank you for joining me, and this has been so much fun.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I look forward to buying this B-Day now.